Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Rose, and today I will be reading a book that I wrote that is known as Fire. It's not released to public yet. I'm still working on it as of currently, and I'd like to know you guys' opinion on it. So, I'm just going to read it a couple times so that anyone who joins us a chance to, catch up on it. And anyone in chat who's like, hey, what happened? I can give a short explanation to the next chapter. Okay. Well, like, subscribe, comment down below, and I hope you all enjoy the video. The Valley Fire by Reagan Sanchez. Not long ago, 3 of my closest friends and I decided to go on a trip. We went on a week-long camp out to a place known as the Valley of Fire, remembered for 3 main things. For the first, its absolutely stunning sunsets that shine a red glow only onto the tallest of rocks, adding a beautiful luminescence to the already stunning land, making it look as if flames are shooting up from the rocks' peaks, earning itself the name the Valley of Fire. Number 2. The Valley of Fire is said to have once been Native American land, full of strange markings and even stranger stories. One of which is why the Valley of Fire is so popular. Last, certainly not least, a Native American folklore that describes a strange creature the natives called a skinwalker. Not many people have seen it. However, there's a lot of lore behind them, and their description always has something different about them. However, those who have seen them say that a strange creature stalks them, but only by night. However, even then, neither my friends nor I believe in skinwalkers. It just sounds so unreal. Why don't we have proper photos of the creature? And what's to say that the photos we do have aren't just photoshopped? So, my friends and I have decided to try and use every trigger to skinwalkers, just so we can prove they're fake. I mean, they're just native folklore, right? Chapter 1. Researching the paranormal. My friends all came over to my house to research these skinwalkers, along with gathering the necessary supplies for the trip. We needed to learn as much as we could about the skinwalkers, like where they originally came from. Besides that, we need to learn what exactly will trigger a response from these creatures. And we need to figure out who will bring what supplies, like food and water. I had requested my friend group to arrive at 10 a.m., so we would have as much time as we could to do as much research as we could about skinwalkers. Of course, Eli arrived at my house at 8 a.m. Eli is the oldest of the group, has light skin and dirty blonde hair. His eyes are gray-blue with a royal blue rim surrounding the iris. Eli is also the tallest of the group, standing at exactly 6 feet tall. When I had finally opened the door to let him in the house, the first thing he decided to do was place me in a pressure lock. As I forgot to mention, he's also the most violent in the group. The next person to arrive was Mike. He came around 10 a.m., and as expected, he's always quite punctual. Mike has light skin, short brown hair, and dark brown eyes. And, hilariously enough, he's also the shortest in the group, standing at only 5'4". When I had gone to open the door for Mike, he walked in, and instead of saying hi to me, he just went straight to the fridge and grabbed a sandwich that I had been saving for later. I got a little mad, but it's okay. Even if I asked him not to eat it, he did it anyways. So I just got over it and sat down with the other 2 while we waited for our other friend. The last person was Erin, who arrived at 11:37. Late, as expected. Now that all 4 of us were at my house, we went over to the computer and began to research skinwalkers. Erin is the same height as me. We are both 5'5". Aaron has short silver hair, with one of his eyes being a bright blue with a silver ring around both the outsides of the pupils and the outside of the iris, while his other eye is a dark green with small hints of gold. Now that everyone was there, we all went over into my room where I had a computer on my desk and a 10-inch television screen mounted on my wall so that everyone could see both the websites we would be using to research the Valley Fire, and so we could decide as a team what we should buy for the trip. I remember telling them that the first thing we were going to do was research the Valley Fire, so we could learn the lore behind it and what all we needed to bring. We would also research what types of weather we would be expecting while we were there. Then I had assigned everyone to research multiple different subjects. I had asked Eli to research weather we would be expecting and what we need to not be heavily affected by the weather. I then asked Mike to figure out what we would be eating and what we would need to bring so that we can cook it. Then I asked Aaron to research what devices should get a reaction from skinwalkers, along with some paranormal devices that should help us talk to them. Because from what I've already heard, some people think that skinwalkers are spirits. Lastly, I decided to do research on the Navajo tribe, which was said to have once inhabited the Valley of Fire, and investigate the origins of the skinwalker lore. Then we would all get back together and do a small presentation on what we had learned, including what we would need to bring and what we would need to know about skinwalkers. I brought out 4 computers that I had gotten just for this and passed them out to everyone so we could each begin to research our separate subjects. Then we would all meet back up at my house and share our research so we are all on the same page on what we need, what we are eating, how the weather should be, and the lore behind skinwalkers. Lastly, the extra supplies we are going to bring for the paranormal part of our little investigation, along with the actual camping supplies we will bring. Then we will purchase the supplies we need and begin making our way over to the Valley of Fire. 1 month later, everyone came back to my house to explain what they researched. First, we were going to look at weather. We can expect Eli to plug the laptop I gave him into the TV. Look at weather we can expect. Eli plugged the laptop I gave him into the TV so that he could show what he had gathered. On Monday morning, when we leave for the trip, it should be cloudy out. On Tuesday, when we get there, it should be raining the entirety of the day. On Wednesday, it should be clear out with bright blue skies. On Thursday, it should be foggy as the rain begins to evaporate. On Friday, it should be cloudy again. On Saturday, it should be slightly cloudy with a small chance of rain. Sunday, it should rain. And lastly, Monday and Tuesday, on our way back, should be full of clear blue skies. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Did you just join? I'm doing well, thank you for asking. It's been 3 years now? Crazy. So I'm reading a book I wrote called The Valley of Fire. I haven't completely completed it, but since you're the first person to join, I might as well go from the beginning. But yeah, I'm just working on sharing it, I guess. Do you want me to keep going from where I was or restart? Okay. I need to find where I was. Tuesday on our way back should be full of clear blue skies. Oh yeah, it's supposed to get below freezing overnight for the entirety of the week. Well, it should be a little over 90 degrees out during the day. We should be bringing both warm weather and cold weather clothing, along with sleeping bags rated for freezing temperatures. And we will also need to bring rain gear like boots, ponchos, and probably a canopy that we can put tarps on the sides for a little shelter. Besides that, I don't know what else we should bring. After Eli finished saying that, he unplugged the laptop and took a seat on the couch. Mike stood up to tell us what he had picked out for us to cook and eat, along with how much the food would cost and what we would need to cook the food. Mike plugged his laptop into the TV and showed a slideshow with what foods we would cook for each day, along with the supplies we would need to make them and how much each supply would cost. He made a list of things for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with snacks for a week and a half, in case the rain made us have to stop due to mud or something else. Looking back on it, Mike packing extra food was probably the smartest thing that had happened that entire trip. Mike showed us what he planned for us to eat for breakfast first. He said, on Monday we leave, then I'm thinking we just get some boxes of cereal and oatmeal for breakfast, so that we don't have to cook anything so early in the morning. Then for lunch, since we will again still be driving, we can choose some MREs, so we just add water and the food will be ready. Plus, we get to choose what we get, and we don't have to eat the same thing as the other person. For dinner, we will just continue to use MREs, and we can pack some extra MREs for snacks and extra food. MRE stands for meals ready to eat. So thank you so much for the thumbs up. That's amazing. When we get there on Tuesday morning, we can eat some bacon and eggs. Then for lunch, we can make some sandwiches. And for dinner, I was thinking, since it's the first night, we go big and eat some steak cooked to each of our own preferences. On Wednesday, for breakfast, we have some toast and hash browns. For lunch, we can eat another MRE. And for dinner, we'll make some chicken and rice. Thursday, for breakfast, we can make some breakfast biscuits. For lunch, we can have some sandwiches with chips and salsa. And for dinner, we can make spaghetti with tomato sauce. Friday, we make cheesy broccoli with bacon bits over it for breakfast. For lunch, we can make some chocolate croissants. And for dinner, it should be the last night, so we can make something good again, like steak with mashed potatoes and roasted broccoli. And we make our way home with a 1-week supply of extra MREs for a meal, and in case we get stuck, we'll have plenty of food. I remember watching everyone's reactions to the food options, and Eli was literally drooling. So we could all agree that the food options were good. Mike unplugged his laptop and sat back down. Then Aaron came up to the TV and plugged in the laptop to both Google Slides and a Google Doc. He also had Amazon pulled up with the different supplies. He then passed out paper copies of the documents that explained why we would need the supplies, and the slides showed where we would get them, and the Amazon was open to show us the prices. And we were going to use my account to purchase the items since I was the one who came up with the idea of going to the Valley of Fire. The first thing Aaron went over was camping supplies, which, funny enough, he had realized that no one was assigned to that, so he took the liberty of doing it for us. So, yay! Just one more thing that I didn't have to do. Anyways, the first thing he went over were tents, since it would make the most sense to get a large tent that had enough room for all 4 of us, our paranormal supplies, and the supplies for the investigation. He pulled up tents that had 3 rooms in them. 1 room for sleeping, 1 room for storing personal equipment, and the other room was for storing the equipment for the investigation. The tent fit 6 people in the sleeping quarters, and it could fit 3 more people in both of the other rooms. So we all agreed that that would be a good option tent. Well, we then learned that the tent was over $500, and we still bought it, which it felt like a lot for a tent, but at the same time, it was a steal. For a tent that size, that is excuse me. For a tent the size the tent the size that it was, so it's fine with it. So I was fine with it. And we went ahead and ordered it. Then we went on to sleeping mats. We didn't even really need to look at options. We all just decided to get 2 extra large inflatable sleeping pads that would hold 2 people each. So in total, all 4 of us could use them. And the 2 mats ended up coming out to $783.99. So it took a big bite of my cash. But now I would have them for any other future things we decided to do. So we went ahead and bought them. Go left. Okay. Then we looked at below freezing sleeping bags, and we found 4 adult-sized sleeping bags. Luckily, there were different colors to pick from, so everyone got a different color. These sleeping bags were rated for temperatures lower than 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really cold. I got a neon yellow sleeping bag. Sorry, I lost track of where I was reading. I got a neon yellow sleeping bag. Mike chose the pink one to be fun. Aaron chose the black one, and Eli got a neon green one so he could match me. They ended up coming out to $83. And after we purchased the main things, we looked at how much money we've already spent, and we spent over $1,780. So that's fun. But I didn't get time to linger on the amount of money my friends were having me pay for this trip because Aaron quickly went straight to the paranormal equipment. Aaron grabbed the paper from us and threw it away because they no longer served any use to us. Okay, sorry, I had a yawn. I lost where it was. Because they no longer served any use to us. He pulled up a new slide that showed tons of different pieces of equipment that are supposed to both talk to spirits and upset, maybe even enrage the skinwalkers. That is if they even exist, let alone if any of the equipment works. And if they don't, it's gonna suck because I can already tell that these devices are gonna take a good chunk of my money. It's gonna be a blast. However, if they do work and something does go wrong, I just hope we're okay. We're gonna be okay. And looking back on this, I wish I believed in their existence. I wish I had known before it got where it did. The first thing Aaron showed us was this thing called a thermal imagery camera. And I know hearing this, you're probably thinking, but that's not going to do anything when it comes to finding ghosts or even skinwalkers. But you couldn't be more wrong, because spirits are cold. We can see their heat signature pulse. It's not just a camera, it's a drone. So we could be able to see any heat signature in the area, including our own. And luck me because this drone is over $2,000. But I agreed to get it because I could still use it for hunting animals, which we would do just for the fun of it. The next thing Aaron showed us was what's called a death whistle. It's supposed to sound like someone's screaming on the top of their lungs, and apparently skinwalkers don't really like them. Luckily for me, it's only $14, so we all gave the okay for the death whistle. The next item that Aaron showed us was another electronic called a spirit box. A spirit box is a radio that has a range of frequencies that make it so a spirit can use its energy to switch channels and communicate with you. The spirit box is around $95. I remember asking everyone if they really thought it would work, and they all nodded, so I gave the okay and we purchased it. The next item Aaron showed us was what he called a REM pod. It is a device that makes a loud beeping sound whenever something gets too close to it or touches it. However, it won't activate if a plant or something like that touches it. A REM pod is around $180, and I was okay with getting it because it would also let us know if an animal gets too close to it. Then Aaron showed us a common trail camera. Aaron said that we could use these trail cameras so that if somehow there were actual skinwalkers, we could hopefully get video evidence of their existence. Although that would be a cool idea. Plus, we could get some cool videos of animals. So we got 8 of them, which ended up costing a little over $300. The last thing Aaron showed us were soundproof. Last thing Aaron showed us were soundproof headphones, so that we could do something called the Estes method, which apparently is a method where one person puts on soundproof headphones and they close their eyes. Then the other person, or in this case, people, ask questions and the spirit answers them through the headphones, and the person wearing the headphones hears what they hear, and it normally either answers the question or says something completely different. Oh yeah, he also had us get this app on our phone that makes it so a spirit can communicate with us through our phones by typing it into the phone or using their energy and saying it into the phone. Aaron then unplugged the laptop and took a seat, and it was my turn to share what I learned. I stood up and I plugged my laptop into the TV. I then pulled a document I found that describes and explains skinwalkers and their native lore. The first thing that the document said was, "Meet the Navajo skinwalker." The demonic shapeshifter that even natives won't mention by name. We learned that the word skinwalker has been translated from the Navajo Yi Nadolushe. From the Navajo Yi Nadolushe. This literally means by means of it. It goes on all fours. And the Yinadarushe is merely one of the many varieties of skinwalkers, called anti-Gene, telling us that the skinwalkers originate in the Navajo tribe. I was then about to find that in Native American lore, the skinwalkers are described as possessing, and mostly animalistic physical appearance, even when they are in human form. They are reportedly near impossible to kill except for a bullet or a knife dipped in white ash. Now the interesting thing is that there are a ton of different stories. Hi.
Okay.
What's up?
First.
Sorry about that. I am back. Now, the interesting thing is that there are tons of different stories on how skinwalkers came to be. So far, the most common story is that the medieval man who took up dark magic and gave his soul to be able to be transformed into animals. There's another quite similar one, however, instead of medicine men, it was a witch that sold her soul so that she would be able to be immortal and transform into animals. If you were about to figure out the witch's name and say it in front of it, shortly after, the witch would pass away. Even though there are multiple different stories behind skinwalkers and what they are, one thing stays the same, and that is that they originated in the Navajo tribe and spread throughout the world by Navajo people marrying into different tribes. Oh, and there's one more thing that I had forgotten to mention, and that is skinwalkers can copy voices. Skinwalkers will copy voices and are normally heard as screaming out for help. Even though you or a friend is the only person there, it's also said that if they see you and you see them, they know you and they will follow you, stalk you, and you won't really ever feel alone again. When I had finished reading, my friends started breaking out in laughter because there was no way that just by looking at the thing it would know you and how it would copy voices. However, even though I didn't believe in them, I didn't laugh at them. The stories and information I had read were a very small amount of what I learned. And it was off-putting because of how realistic it sounded. But I wasn't too worried. I unplugged my laptop and sat back down on the couch. I then looked at my phone to see where we should meet back up to load the packages and leave for the Valley Fire when a message popped up on my screen from the Ghost app. It said, "Don't go. Not safe." I just laughed a little and swiped away the message. I wish I had listened. I wish we hadn't gone. I finally managed to pull up the package orders, and they will be arriving next week. So I asked everyone to meet me back at my house next Tuesday. Luckily, we were all planning on leaving on Monday the week after, so we would have plenty of time to double-check supplies and buy food. The next week, the packages arrived and a day early, and I just brought them inside and waited till tomorrow for everyone to get here. The next day, everyone came over and we began to get ready to make our way over to the Valley of Fire. Any opinions on Chapter 1? Sorry, I got really quiet. So what do you think of Chapter 1? I'm glad. I'm glad it's really good. Would you like me to read Chapter 2? Okay. Chapter 2, Into the Storm. We loaded up all of our supplies into the pickup truck, and I'm only surprised it all fit. We grabbed our food, got it into the truck, and made our way down the road. Everyone was really excited. I remember my friends eating chips and popcorn and singing whatever random song came up on the stereo. We would play I Spy and round trip bingo. It was a blast. Everyone was laughing and just enjoying themselves. The clouds began to cover up the sunlight, and everyone was looking out the windows, waiting and watching for rain. When the rain started to fall, we turned off the radio and listened to the rain hit the roof of my truck. It was nice, soft, almost calming. After around 30 minutes of calm, soft rain, it started getting heavy, and we began to hear thunder, along with seeing lightning. I began to speed up as we went down the road when the stereo turned back on and began to give weather reports, stating that a severe thunderstorm was taking way and everyone on the road needed to find a location they could take shelter in for the time being. Then the stereo turned off. I sped down the road, even beginning to hydroplane, meaning the car lost traction and I started driving on water. A bolt of lightning struck a tree near us, and it fell right over as we passed it. Then the loud boom of thunder sent my brain into a panic. The rain began to fall harder, drowning out any thoughts that I had. Yet I did not Yet I did my best to keep my eyes on the road and the car on the ground. I don't even remember what my friends were doing. I just remember being in my own world and being incapable of hearing a single word. Not I couldn't hear, not I remember being incapable of hearing a single word. Not that I couldn't even hear my own thoughts. I then saw a small abandoned gas station on a small hill, high enough to get off of the now flooding road. I pushed the gas pedal to the floor and sped to the gas station. There was no lights and no sound coming from it, only the loud sounds of rain falling and the booming of thunder crashing against itself. Most of my vision was blocked by the building's white and purple lights produced by the lightning. But by the blinding white and purple lights produced by the lightning. We finally approached the beginning of the hill and to the gas station. However, it was covered in mud, making it nearly impossible for the truck to get up it. I drove around the hill countless times, trying to find a spot we could use to get up the hill, when I realized that I had a shovel under the seat. I pulled out the shovel and ran out into the rain. That's when I looked up in the sky and saw clouds swirling around each other into a funnel-like shape, tearing itself apart only to come back together. It kept getting closer and closer to the ground, and that's when I blocked out everything. I was in my own world. I could still see and feel, however, I couldn't hear anything. Not my friends yelling, not the thunder and the lightning and the light of the lightning didn't bother me anymore. I could only feel light pinches from the heavy rain constantly beating down on or pounding against my skin. But it was like everything was in slow motion after a moment. It was like everything was in slow motion. After a moment of this, I came back to my senses and everything came back. The yelling, I could now tell what they were saying. I could feel the rain with more intensity, and the lightning bothered my vision again. The booms of the thunder was louder than before. My ears were now ringing, and I could feel the wind pulling me towards the funnel cloud, which had now almost hit the ground. I ran around the hill with my shovel hitting the ground. I ran around the hill with my shovel hitting the ground. It was muddy and soft. However, after a moment of running and stabbing the soft ground, there was a hard piece of ground. I immediately grabbed the shovel handle and began to shovel away at the mud, and lo and behold, there was concrete. I ran back to the truck and yelled for two of my friends to help me move the mud while the other one drove the car up the hill. Right as we had cleared the hill enough for the car to go up it, the funnel cloud touched the ground, turning into a tornado. Everyone got back in the car, and the person at the wheel drove up the hill. And when we finally got up to the top of the hill, we were thrilled to learn that there was a roof over the gas pumps. So we parked the car and we waited. The wind around us was shaking the car. And even though the rain wasn't hitting the car anymore, it was just as loud as the thunder. The tornado turned and started going towards the gas station. But right as it was about to reach us, the wind turned again, and it changed directions. Just in time for it not to hit us. Just as we began to calm down, lightning hit the top of the shop, connected to the gas pumps, and the lights inside began to flash on and off over and over again, momentarily blinding us. Then everything went dark. I woke up and my friends were blacked out too. It was darker out, the rain went down, and we were still at the gas station. I went to look out the window, but right before I did, something banged on the window, making me jump back. My friends woke up thinking someone was trying to break in. They began to panic, and Aaron tried to turn on the lights. However, I grabbed his arm and whispered that he needed to stop. I told everyone that we need to be calm and quiet. Whatever it is might not know we're in here. Then I heard it. Tapping. Soft, rhythmic tapping. Tap, 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 tap. Then I felt a shiver go down my spine. I was terrified. Then I just stopped. Then it just stopped. And we just sat there in silence, barely even being able to breathe when we heard it. A terrible scraping noise that sounded like nails on a chalkboard or a fork scraping against a ceramic plate. But it was loud. We all covered our ears, but we could still hear it. We were beginning to panic, hyperventilating, and praying that we would make it out of here alive. And it stopped, everything went silent again. And let me tell you, there's nothing scarier than the silence we heard. There were no birds. No one was talking. Even the crickets stopped chirping, telling us that whatever was out there was huge. After a couple of minutes, we finally began to calm down. But it still felt like something was wrong. And crash! Whatever it was just jumped on the top of the trunk of the truck and dented the roof. We all screamed, absolutely horrified, not knowing what to do. Then we heard it again, the screeching noise. However, it sounded different. Weird. Wrong. Sounded like someone had recorded the screeching sound and was replaying it, but it was more distorted than that. I kept moving locations on where the screeching was coming from. When the thing copying the sound, or was someone's kid pranking us? No, there were no kids out here. We are in the middle of nowhere, and we're up a hill that the truck could barely get to, let alone a kid. So what is happening? I yelled out in anger for everything to just stop, and it did. The scraping sound was gone. The only sound that remained were my ragged breathing and my friends slightly panicking. Then the tapping happened again. Tap, 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 tap. And it was gone. The noises stopped. The light rain came to a halt, and the sun began to rise. The last thing I remember from that moment was everything going black and hearing a loud crash as I fell to the floor. I woke up to a bright light shining in my eyes and the feeling that I'm moving. I sat up to see what was going on, and I realized I was laying in the back of my pickup truck. I used my phone and opened the camera so I could see the license plate and realized that I was still in my pickup truck. I started knocking on the back window, and the driver swerved and then pulled to a stop. I'm guessing they were still jumpy from the night before. Mike and Aaron, excited, exited the back seat and immediately came to check up on me. Then Eli exited the driver's seat with a small pack of oatmeal. Eli walked up to me and gave me the oatmeal, while Mike and Aaron helped me walk back into the passenger seat of the truck. They went back to the back seats, and Eli sat back into the driver's seat and began to continue making our way down to the Valley of Fire. After a few minutes of silence and me finishing my oatmeal, Mike asked me if I was okay. Since I passed out, Aaron then said that it was really weird because I just passed out after yelling. Eli told me that he's happy I didn't die from stress or something like that. I guess I got overstimulated, that my brain needed to do a hard reset or something like that. and they seemed pretty happy with that explanation. After some more driving, we finally saw the entrance to the Valley of Fire. We pulled into the parking lot and exited the car, and that's when I saw 4 large scratches along the side of the car. Paint was scraped off, and part of the metal was scraped off to the side. 3 of the lines were straight. It almost looked like it was done using a ruler, while the 4th one was wavy, going in a zigzag motion, almost like a heart monitor. I moved away from the side of the car and realized that there was a huge dent in my roof, which almost looked like a bear had jumped onto my car. I asked everyone what happened, and no one could give me a logical answer. So we just decided to ignore them for the time being and enjoy our camp out. We grabbed all of our gear and made our way into the valley. However, right before we entered, a small sign caught my eye. It stated that after dark, there is dangerous paranormal activity, and there were 10 or more missing person posters of people who went hiking, backpacking, and even camping, some of which were posted days, weeks, months, and even years ago, yet they were still there. Some of them were copies. We did our best to ignore the posters, however, I'm sure it stayed in the back of everyone's minds. And we made our way into the Valley of Fire. That is the end of Chapter 2. I hope that was at least somewhat interesting to listen to. So it looks like how many chapters we got left. Chapter 3 is called Unexplainable Situation. Chapter 4 is Mimic of the Morning. And then I have not done Chapter 5 yet. But I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to go ahead and stop reading for now, but yeah, I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.